You are listening to the Cinderbury Chronicles. Journey with us into the world of Copper Hollow.
Welcome to the dilapidated streets of Copper Hollow. Grab a cuppa and settle in. This is the 6th episode of the Cinderbury Chronicles. These episodes are chronological, so we recommend you start from the beginning. I'm P. Rose, narrator and voices of Diana, Amelia, Irene, Lily, and Little John in this episode.
And I'm Orphin, and I'll be the voice of Larkin, Albert, and Silas Williams in this episode.
Chapter 5, The Way the Current Flows. It is a dark day for us all. A pillar of our community has passed. Ada Kathleen Wright was the matron of the Wright Orphanage, a home for lost automatons everywhere. Ada was loved and respected in her community. She had a big mind and an even bigger heart. She was known for her ingenuity. The greatest minds of our time were lucky to keep up with her. She was a champion of the women's rights movement. Ada spent most of her time on this earth, taking in and caring for the city's most vulnerable. When her niece was orphaned, she stopped her worldly travels to return home and care for her. She was, and will continue to be, a model for us all. Diana Farewell, Ada Wright's obituary in the Cinderbury Times. Larkin strides up the stone steps of the orphanage, a sense of dread creeping upon him. The doors open, leading to an empty hall. The orphanage nearly always brings back fond memories. But something feels off. The hall is cold, its large stone fireplace unlit, and it is far too quiet.
Ada! Amelia!
He calls out. "In here!" a voice issues from the dining room. He steps inside to find Amelia slouching on one of the armchairs set out near the fireplace, a sharp smell of liquor lingering in the air.
Amelia? What's all this?
He asks, eyes scanning the room. The dining room is decorated with embossed red patterned wallpaper. Above the long mahogany dining table is a tarnished chandelier, bedraggled with cobwebs. The table itself is littered with plates and crumbs, looking as though he had just missed some kind of gathering. "Larkin, come in. Drink. Have a crumpet," Amelia says, swaying a little in her seat. He takes a seat in the opposite worn leather armchair, sizing her up.
What's the occasion?
He asks sceptically. She hesitates. "We don't need an occasion. The occasion is we have too much brandy. Have a glass." She slides a glass across the table. He catches it instinctively. "It's so quiet in here, Larkin. Don't you think? There are some records somewhere." She pushes herself up, making her way to a small brass cabinet, doing her best not to trip. She pulls out a vinyl record, placing it on a somewhat antiquated gramophone. "Aha! Remember this one, Lark?" she asks as music emerges from the speaker. She dances towards him, making him feel even more uneasy. "Come on, lighten up. I know you can dance. Don't think I've forgotten your little dance moves. What was that one with the counting?" She reaches for his hand. He reluctantly takes it, pulling him up. She pulls his hand on her waist, placing hers on his shoulder. "And 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Amelia falls over herself. Larkin just managing to hold her upright.
"You're doing it wrong,"
he mutters, as she stumbles over her own feet. It reminds him of his mother, one of the few fond memories he has of her, showing him how to dance to the radio in their cramped little kitchen. "What? Look, I'm great at this. You're just jealous. The student becomes the master," she proclaims, with a huge grin on her face. Larkin stifles a laugh. He hasn't seen her like this in a long time.
"Ah, yes. I'll bow down to your superiority. Now let's sit you down before you break something."
He bends down and picks her up, carrying her over to her seat. "Ah, you're such a killjoy. Drink!" She slams the table. The dining room door creaks open to reveal a tall, bearded elder. Amelia and Larkin share a tense look. Albert straightens up at the sight of Larkin.
Larkin, my boy, thank goodness you're here. This place really needs you right now.
He puts a hand on Larkin's shoulder.
I see you've found the brandy. Well, I suppose no one else can drink it now.
He says, sounding introspective.
"I'm sure Ada could put a couple of glasses back."
Larkin chuckles, thinking of the few times they had seen Ada drunk. Albert backs away, getting a good look at him.
What do you You haven't heard?
He turns to his granddaughter, who remains silent in her chair, waiting for the onslaught. He glares down at her.
Were you ever going to tell him? Was he going to have to figure it out for himself? The boy is family, for goodness sake.
Amelia gulps, feeling her gut twist.
Amelia Lena Wright, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. This boy would do anything for you. To treat him this way is utter cowardice.
She looks away from her grandfather, staring at the ancient, moth-eaten velvet curtains, sinking further into her chair. Albert turns to Larkin, his anger dissipating, gritting his ivory teeth.
Sit down, lad, and have a swig of this.
He passes him the brandy and takes a seat next to him. Larkin does as he's told, knowing it unwise to question Albert.
Ada passed this morning. The police believe it to be natural causes, though the investigation is still ongoing.
Larkin's stomach drops. He processes the words again and again, his brain fervently hoping that he heard Albert wrong. After a moment of silence, he takes a long pull of his drink, shuddering as the liquid slides down his throat. Amelia lets out a hiccup. Albert and Larkin look at her, still sunken in her chair, staring at the opposite wall with no emotion registering on her face.
Would you put her to bed? She's had a bit too much.
Albert asks Larkin, who nods back, unable to find his voice. Amelia sits at the small brass kitchen table. She dons an oversized brown flight jacket with a woolen collar and cuffs, her pyjamas underneath. She flicks through a tattered scrapbook of Ada's, filled with photographs of far-flung places and exotic sights. Next to the scrapbook lays an elegant brass pocket watch, engraved with the family insignia, an imperial W framed by a wreath of thorns around its edge. I haven't seen that old coat in years! Amelia jumps at Irene's voice, having been lost in the pages of the old scrapbook, her head still throbbing from the night before. Ada only ever wore it when she went on long voyages. It suits you, lovey, Irene tells her, bringing her a cup of tea. Lily follows behind, looking a little awkward. Amelia smiles weakly at Irene. The book is open to a photo of Ada in front of a grand airship, with a cabin the size of a cottage and the overall frame the length of a cricket pitch. Do you remember the airship, Irene? I'd never seen it myself. Oh, yes, she says, pulling out the chair. Lily follows suit, tilting her head to get a good look at the photo. Irene's wheels retract with a click, and she places her white enamelled arms on the table. It was huge. It was like a house, but on a balloon. I even had a kitchen. I would cook and make the tea, and Ada would fly us across the world. Oh, those were the days, she reminisces. It must have been a sight to see, Amelia says longingly. Why did she give it up? She inquires, taking her cup. Well, the orphanage was going through a tough time. We didn't have enough money to take in new bots, so she sold it. She hadn't used it in years, but it was a shame to see it go all the same. Where did they keep it? Lily asks. In the west wing. The roof opens up. We don't use that part of the building anymore. It hasn't been usable for decades now, Irene explains. A pattering of footsteps makes them turn to see a small bot made up of brushes and covered in soot, dirty trousers just peeking out. He stomps his way through the kitchen, black dust dirtying the floors. What am I going to do? The bot pouts, his voice high-pitched. Who's going to look after us? If no one is there to clean my brushes, how am I going to clean chimneys? No one wants a dirty chimney sweep. Amelia looks down at the little bot. How about I give you a hand? She offers. Ah, Amelia, I'm not sure you know what to do. Have you even cleaned a chimney sweep before? The bot questions, his words slow and elongated. Don't you worry, little John. I disassemble bots for a living. I know exactly what to do, she tells him. Disassemble? I just need a cleaning. Disassemble me. I don't want to be disassembled. Little John crosses his arms and looks at Irene. Can you believe this, Irene? He asks in disbelief. You know Amelia. She's always looked out for you, Irene tells him. He crosses his arms and pushes his hips to one side, considering her. I dunno. You're not Ada. Pfft, I suppose. Beggars and choosers. He shrugs. Beggars can't be choosers, Lily corrects, chuckling. Little John looks up at her. Who are you? Lily ducks her head. Amelia steps in. This is Lily. She's new. He glares at Lily. What do you do? I'm a chimney sweep, but I guess you already heard. I'm kind of a big deal around here, he says, pushing his tiny chest out. Lily chuckles. I wish I had your confidence. I was a vendor. So I went to the streets of Golden Heights and told people the latest news or advertised products. Sounds boring. Did you ever sell any chimney products? He inquires. I mostly sold cigarettes, but I can't say I was very good at it, she admits. Don't get any funny ideas about selling those death sticks in here. Larkin's not supposed to smoke and no one else is buying. Amelia shakes her head. Manners. Come on, let's clean those brushes. She brings him over to the counter, picking him up and sitting him on the side. She feels the deep sink as Little John watches her like a hawk. By the way, you had us really worried, going missing the other day. Where were you? Why do you want to know? I was worried, she frowns as she adds soap to the water. I was fighting off the pigeon monsters. They live on top of the chimneys and they keep messing them up. You were fighting pigeons for that long? She raises an eyebrow, turning off the tap, the sink brimming with scalding, soapy water. Yeah, he says sheepishly. Well, I know pigeons are scary, but they sleep at night. So what were you doing for all that time? She inquires, rolling up her sleeves and unlatching his brushes. He bows his head in embarrassment. I got stuck, he mutters. Oh? There was this warehouse, and in the warehouse, well, there was a really filthy chimney, and I know I shouldn't have done, but it just looked so dirty. I couldn't just leave it, so I climbed up it, and it got smaller and smaller, and well, I was stuck, he admits. But luckily, this really fancy man came and helped. I've been shouting for ages, and he was the only one what heard me. I was surprised, to be honest. His suit was so fancy. Them toughs aren't usually that nice. She chuckles. The stories you come up with. How did he get you out? What do you mean? It's the truth, not a story, he grumbles. That doesn't answer my question, she says, throwing brushes into the hot, sudsy water. He frowns. I don't want to talk about it no more. Amelia sits in her room, dark blue walls around her. Large yellow flowers are painted on the wall behind her brass-framed bed, snuggled in the corner. She sits with her legs crossed on her faded, rough purple bed sheets, stiff from years of washing. The mirror that stands on her brass dresser continues to have a thin layer of dust over it. The room is modest, with one good-sized window, a tall standalone brass wardrobe, and a small ensuite bathroom. Papers litter the bed, and folders lay on the grey, carpeted floor. She picks up a recent letter addressed to Ada, the paper thicker than she is used to. She runs a finger along its surface.
Dear Ada, I was hoping you would be willing to meet me on Tuesday to discuss donations. I'd like to take you to lunch, and you're more than welcome to bring Dr. Wright and your niece. She sounds wonderful, and I'd like to get to know the rest of the Wrights. I'm sure you've heard many unpleasant things about my family, that we are money grubbers and snobbish. I do hope I have managed to change your opinion. I'm truly interested in the well-being of automatons, and how Cinderbury treats them disturbs me deeply. I've also noticed a growing antagonism towards automatons from the very poorest in our city. This is most regrettable, as it is often the poor who have the most in common with automatons. Indeed, they are more often those who become them. I would like to raise awareness among the working classes of the importance and rights of automatons and their own rights. I hope to speak to you soon. Yours sincerely, Silas S. Williams.
The off-white bedroom door squeaks open.
May I come in?
Albert asks, looking first to Amelia and then to the mess of papers surrounding her. She nods, and he slips in, gently closing the door behind him. His red velvet robe sways as he turns back to her, placing a brass box on the bedside table. She raises an eyebrow as he takes a seat on the edge of her bed, letting out a cough, something he only does when he's uncomfortable.
Well, you must be wondering about the will.
He inquires. She raises an eyebrow. No, not really.
Well, there is a will, and it's not just Ada's. My own grandfather, Nicholas Wright, was the original founder of this institution. He made it very clear that the Wright orphanage must always be headed by a Wright. You're well aware you are the only living Wright left in Cinderbrae.
Last time I checked, you're a Wright.
Amelia, be serious. You know well that the law doesn't recognize automatons. I cannot own this property. It's your responsibility as the living heir of our family. You must do your duty.
He tells her, giving her a hard stare. Well, I can keep it in my name and you can run it. I'm not a qualified engineer yet, Albert. I couldn't run this place, she argues, shuffling uncomfortably.
It is your duty, young lady. It is the duty of a Wright to run the Wright orphanage. We have a family name to protect, traditions to uphold. You knew this was coming since you were just a girl. It's our legacy.
Grandad, I can't. Ada said that I must finish my studies, that not even a Wright can get anywhere with talent alone. I will run it, but I need to finish my qualification. How would the Wright name be respected if I'm not a professional? He grumbles.
This isn't up to you, child. This is the way the current has flown. It's not about you, Amelia. This is about the bots.
He stands up, looking down at her. I don't understand why it has to be me. I'm not prepared for this. I have no money, and without qualifications, how am I supposed to provide for these bots? She demands.
You can't be ready for everything, no matter how hard you try.
He says. The pair glare at each other.
I'll let you sleep on it.
He exits the room. Amelia feels as though the weight of the orphanage is bearing down upon her. That was Chapter 5 of Copper Hollow. Hope you enjoyed it. This is part of a podcast series where we record the audiobook and you get to be the first ones to listen for the wonderful price of free. Poor Larkin, coming in, finding Amelia, really drunk, and then discovering that Ada is dead.
Yep. He had that bad feeling when he was in the previous chapter and he was wandering around Copper Hollow and catching up with old friends, and sure enough, it came true.
Yeah, I mean, Copper Hollow was already rough. We've seen that. But this is such a blow to Larkin, and he comes in and just... Amelia does what Albert did. You know, Amelia sees Larkin and she can't bring herself to tell Larkin about Ada's death, and Albert acted the same way, and we'll see.
Yeah, Albert wouldn't let Amelia in to the room where Ada had passed, and he was adamant that she not come in. He didn't know how to deal with it, and yeah, Amelia has just repeated the same thing where she's just acted like nothing happened, and she just drowned her own sorrows and then couldn't face him.
Amelia and Albert are so similar in so many ways, and we see how that makes them butt heads a lot. Like, they're so stubborn, they have such a similar demeanour in how they deal with things, and you can really see
they have a lot of parallels.
Yeah, you can really see the family lineage through them.
Yeah,
I do really love that about them, though. They wind each other up perfectly, but also deal with things in the exact same way, and they get mad at each other for dealing with things in the exact same way, which is just, I don't know.
Yeah, I actually think this was a benefit of the fact that we edited and went over it and we sat with it for so long. We just got the voice of these characters living in our head, and sometimes I think even just the parallels between family members is able to just weave itself in our minds and in the characters, and this is really a place where it shows. And I think that's even going to there's going to be so much more parallels. Like, this is only the beginning between multiple different family members, but yeah, we've thought a lot about it.
Yeah, and this is the one where we have a few different scenes as well. This is the first time, so you're going to see this throughout the book. We have scene changes within chapters, and this was our first one. But within this first scene, Larkin and Amelia do this little dance because they've known each other forever, and Amelia's trying to cut all this tension and not think about the actual horrors that she's going through. She's trying to ignore her grief. She's trying to not actually deal with what's in front of her. And so instead she wants to distract herself with these past memories with Larkin that almost go back in time and remember when everything was easy.
Yeah, I think she's looking for really something strong and an anchor to distract Larkin with as well. I think she hopes that she'd get away with it and somehow either the issue of telling him would just go away or would come out naturally. So, yeah, so she just starts dancing with him, and I don't think she has a solid plan.
No, she doesn't have a solid plan at all. And I think she's also been like eating her sorrows away, like drinking and eating her sorrows away.
Yes.
I found, so when we had people first read this, a lot of people were shipping Larkin and Amelia. And, you know, I get the temptation, but really they are kind of like brother and sister. I wouldn't put them.
They are brother and sister, basically.
Yeah.
They'd just be like stepbrother and stepsister, you know.
So they're really not like that, but people cling on to this so much.
Yeah.
It's not in them to be like that.
I think it's because they're quite cute, and yet there's a separation between them.
Yeah.
That makes people want to ship them together. Like, we want them to be cute together and to be close, but that's also because they're such close friends. They're such like brother and sister.
Yes.
You know?
And I think as well, we have this tendency to like ship people where it's not really appropriate. Like, I think especially, you know, you see adults doing this with little boys and girls as kind of this straight washing almost as well. But also like this idea that a man and a woman can't be friends. I always hate that because, like, look at us, we're friends. Nothing going on here. But like,
and
we're great
friends. Like, if you're not able to have friends with the opposite gender or with whoever, like, it just, I think there's so much, as you said, what did you, straight washing?
Straight washing.
Yeah, there's so much straight washing. That's a very good term. I'm not familiar with it that closely.
I don't know if it's a term. I don't know if I've heard anyone say that. I might have just said that, but someone might have said it. I just don't know.
Yeah, well, I think that honestly makes sense because this is the socialization of our gender politics. Like, we don't realize how much brainwashing there is in making sure that people fall into their gender roles and how they treat one another. Immediately you're adding this weird spectre and this weird idea on top of it, especially as you said with like kids who say would have no particular reason. They haven't hit puberty, like they have no reason to be shipped together.
No.
There's not even hormones involved, so why the hell are you making this weird between two kids? They're friends.
Yeah, I remember being a kid and like people being like, "Oh, is that your boyfriend?" And being like, no. Like, I was so grossed out by it as a kid. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, and it creates a stigma as well because not only you might be saying it as cute because they look cute as little two kids getting on with each other, but at the end of the day, that could actually destroy a friendship, and you're like changing the way kids perceive. Oh, I shouldn't be around girls. They're different, or I shouldn't be around boys. They're different.
This happened to me. Like so I had a cousin same age as me growing up, and we used to play all the time, and then I remember some boys coming up to us and saying that, like older boys coming up to us and saying that we were a couple, and this grossed us out because we were cousins, right? Like, this was even worse. And so then we stopped playing together in public, even though we still did it at home and stuff, because we didn't want people to think that, because that was so utterly gross to us, right? And it does destroy these relationships, you know? It does make these kids uncomfortable. And here again, like, I imagine Larkin and Amelia we actually know Larkin and Amelia have had a lot of this, and they are simply friends, but we always want these people to be together because we like them as friends. They make a good friendship, but that doesn't mean they make a good romantic relationship. It's a different thing. So, you know, I get, you know, you can ship them if you want. I don't think you're a bad person if you ship them, but all I'm saying is that
that's also not the point. Yeah, 100%. Like,
no,
if you're not putting any pressure on somebody, ship away. If you want to have your private thoughts about who would make a good couple, there's nothing really wrong with that. It's only when you start applying the pressure, and like the pressure that Larkin and Amelia are under even affects them in this story for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And like, it's fine to ship fictional characters, that doesn't matter. But when we ship real life people, that is problematic. And you know, you don't need to put that pressure on people, and especially children. Don't do it to children. That's weird. Let's not do that anymore, please.
Absolutely. I think this is why sometimes a queer perspective can be quite valuable, because already you are coming at somebody with an equal perspective that, like, oh, well, I'm just friends with this person. You might even like them, or you might even find them attractive, but you don't assume that they're going to be attracted to you, and you don't treat them differently, you know?
I think this is a problem with young men, let's say,
Yeah.
who are going to speak to young women, and they are going in with this assumption of romance and sexuality before being their
Yes.
friend. And I think you shouldn't assume somebody's going to be like that. You can just be friendly towards somebody without having to go to that level. And young men will befriend a young woman just to try and get into bed with them. And, you know, that's not legitimate. That's not a legitimate friendship.
This would be fine if they wanted to befriend the person independently of wanting to sleep with them.
Yes.
It's the actual faux-ness to say they don't actually like hanging out with a person as a friend, but they are angling towards having relations with them. That's pretty problematic and manipulative.
Yeah, it should be both. I mean, if you fancy someone but you also like them as a person, and it's okay to just be friends with them, you don't have to go that far. You know, like, it doesn't have to have an angle. You can just enjoy somebody's company.
Yes.
So then we go on to the next scene, and we have Amelia reminiscing from a time before she was alive. How so many of us do this. But she's looking at the old airship that Ada used to have. And we get Irene, like, filling in some blanks, showing how long Irene has been with the family.
Absolutely. Like, it really demonstrates how Irene has come a long way and has seen a lot. Like we discussed in the previous episode, how Irene has been through this before. And I think that really helps her be a steadying presence in this. She's got a lot of experience.
She has so much experience, and, you know, we can see that she got to something that not many automatons would get to do. She got to travel with Ada, which is such a privilege for an automaton to be able to have, because automatons don't often, unless they're an elder, don't often have that kind of independence or ability to do such, like, to have these adventures. And Ada gave that to Irene, and the rights try and give these opportunities to automatons to let them experience these things. And so when Irene looks back at these photos with a fond memory, I just think it's so sweet. And it's such a nice scene with Irene kind of comforting Amelia, but also, you know, telling her about times that where Amelia didn't get to be there.
Absolutely. There's a combination of points there. 100% that Amelia never got to experience this kind of wealth that they had and this kind of independence that they had. Like, a lot of the Wrights were spoiled rich kids in the sense that they went on skiing holidays and they went traveling across the world and they had big fancy airships. And, like, this is a whole generation of wealth that Amelia has missed. And now she's just dealing with the dregs. And Ada and so many others were really nice people, but they spent it. They just lived life to the full, and Amelia didn't get to experience that.
Yeah, completely. It's a thing where, you know, a lot of the Wrights went on adventures, but Amelia has been kind of given the short straw here.
It's also really nice that Irene gets to see this generational continuity. Like, I'm sure she got to live with Ada as Amelia's age, as a young woman.
Oh, yeah.
She got to see Ada and probably saw her aspiring to travel the world, etc., and to experience new things. And now she gets to see Amelia come and reminisce about the same. To get to see generations pass and the similarities, I think brings an Irene an ability to cope with the situation as well. Because she's seen it before, she's got experience, she's used to it, but also that she's able to see that continuity in her lifetime is so good for her, you know?
Yeah. She can probably see so much of all of the Wrights in each of them, you know? She sees their character traits coming through again and again, and is often reminded of those Wrights that have left the orphanage, have left this world.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then we have Little John coming in, and he comes in hard. He instantly doubts Amelia's ability to do anything. He's so, oh, woe is me. My life's so hard. Ada's dead and now I can't even get washed.
Little John's a little shit, for sure.
Yeah.
But, like, we will see that Little John is not heartless. I think this is part of his way of dealing with the grief, is to sort of just look at it from his perspective, you know, to just involve himself in his own world and ignore what's happening. You know,
well, this is the thing. Little John was turned into an automaton as a child, and so he has that thing of the whole world revolves around me. Like, he's got that, specifically.
That childhood narcissism.
Yes, exactly. And that's what it does make him a great character as well, that childhood narcissism.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, whenever he's in the scene, he does treat it like it's his own, like, everything is about him. The whole world revolves around him. And we can see that he's a chimney sweep. Now, I don't think there's many child chimney sweeps in this world anymore. I think it's something from the past. But Little John is an automaton who is obsessed with chimneys. Like, as we can see, he's obsessed with this whole thing. And so he does it, and he gets a good bit of money out of doing this. And, you know, because he's an automaton as well, it's much less dangerous for him.
It's much less dangerous for him as an automaton, for sure. And he's got so much experience. So he's actually older than Amelia by a good long way. Like, they still refer to him as a boy, but he has lived a long life.
Yeah, actually, we have a short story featuring Little John and Silas on our Substack, the Cinderbury Chronicles Substack, and you can see what actually Little John was up to when he went missing.
Yeah, this is a kind of free novella or short story, and it follows Little John and Silas's adventures just before this book.
Yeah, so, you know, go on to Substack, subscribe, and you can get these little freebies that we will be putting out.
Yeah, absolutely. Please enjoy. It's for free, and if you really like it, we might try and do an audio version of it as well. Just let us know. We might,
yeah. But as you can see, Little John is a cheeky little boy. I voiced him because, so I'm from Birmingham, and we just really leaned into that brumming. Yeah. Oh, sorry, Tonks is here, and she is making herself known. I'm just going to let her in, because otherwise she'll be annoying. Yes, okay, fine, you can come in. Sorry about that.
No, we'll have to make her a third member of the podcast, because she's been in a previous episode as well.
But yeah, so Little John is such a little cheeky chappy, and I'm from Birmingham, so I did the voice of basically my childhood, and somewhat embodied my brother's annoyingness, my little brother's annoyingness from when we were kids.
Yeah, and you know, Little John is so intense. Birmingham was very much a centre of industry at the peak of the British Empire, so it's very chimney sweep coded. Like, this is very of the era. I
think Cinderbury has a lot from, so it's an industrial city, and a lot of what we've written has been inspired a bit by my hometown of Birmingham.
Well, yes.
You know, one of the things that we say about the book is that it's kind of like the movie Robots was set in the world of Peaky Blinders, and Peaky Blinders is set in Birmingham. So, you know, there's definitely some parallels there.
Yeah, there's that parallel. There's your home experiences. I think it's kind of a combination of London, Birmingham, and ever so slightly Dublin. There's just little bits.
Yeah, it's a bit of all of those.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so anyway, we got to meet Little John and give that short story a read. I think it's called The Infamous Chimney Sweep. So yeah, give that a go. And then in the next scene, we have Silas's letter to Ada.
Yeah, so we see, you know, Silas has had correspondence with Ada for a little while. We see that he's backing up his relationship that he had claimed earlier with some paper trail, because he has this letter to Ada, and you can see that he's kind of angling there as well. He seems to have an agenda.
He wanted to know who Amelia was, like meet up with Amelia before this. We can see he's trying to get her to go to, I suppose, was it lunch?
Yeah, he wanted to have dinner or lunch
with him,
Amelia and Albert and Ada.
Yeah, so he's definitely trying to get in with the rights. And one of the things I feel the need to point out is that Silas isn't that much older than Amelia. Maybe like 3 years in the difference, 3-4 years. Some people have thought that there's like a big difference between them, and there isn't really. They're both in the 20s.
Yeah, they're both
Amelia
in their 20s,
more early 20s, Silas more mid-20s kind of thing. Yeah. So that's kind of the age difference between them. And one of the things, I just wanted to bring it up because when you did the voice, because at the beginning he's so formal and proper, it can kind of sometimes make him sound older than we have him.
Yeah, hopefully it will get, as we get more dialogue with the character, I'll be able to bring out the sort of different aspects of his voice, but it is very hard to do a youthful impression of somebody who's so aristocratic and British and RP. I feel like they just tend towards an older sounding, more mature, more refined sounding voice. And I think that's what he's going for. Like, I think that's often what people of his class are going for. It is
what he's going for. He wants to be seen as competent and like proper and for people to
Experienced,
look up to him. So that's why he does like this voice. And as we go on, hopefully we'll be able, like, becomes less formal for sure, and hopefully that will show his age a bit more.
That's another thing, is most likely part of his education was probably elocution and all this of trying to tailor your appearance to the world.
Absolutely, yeah. So, he comes across this way on purpose. And then we end with Albert's kind of pressuring Amelia to take on the orphanage.
Yeah, Albert is angling for her to step up and do her duty. Absolutely. And we find out that the Wrights are very insular and they don't want to, there's a certain way of doing things. And we also find out that Albert doesn't have the legal capability of running the place on paper.
And so it's important that somebody takes it on, but she was willing to do it by name but not in person, but he is having none of it. And we see her even use the term granddad, which he never uses for him, just to try and soften him up a bit. And they're both so utterly stubborn in this moment. Like, he's trying to manipulate her by being like, oh, well, automatons don't have these rights. And she's like, but I don't have the standing. Nobody would. And they're both trying to manipulate each other into getting their way. But again, you can see the parallels with how they are so the same person in so many ways.
You can definitely see parallels between the two, and we can see that Amelia has been using, I think she's been using some of these same lines, like she's saying, oh, Grandad, I have to become a professional. I couldn't possibly run this place. You can guarantee that this was something when she was going into education that she was told, well, you have to be a professional. You can't just coast on your name alone, and you can't just coast on our fame and your name is a right. You have to be competent. So she's turning this back around and weaponizing it against him for her own means.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of this type of manipulation, for lack of a better term. That sounds terrible, but I think this kind of sparring, not just between her and Albert, but between all the Wrights, is quite common.
I think so. I think they try and use the, especially against Albert, I think, the legacy of the Wrights against him. Because I think he is so wrapped up in like wanting to make a legacy for the Wrights and make sure the name is high and mighty,
so obsessed
that they can kind of use it against him to get what they need.
Yeah, and we've already seen how he's talking about his grandfather, Nicholas Wright.
Yes.
The person who started the institution. And you can see that he is obsessed with legacy. Yeah, this goes back a long time. And I think he feels a lot of guilt. I'm sure he been pressured at Amelia's age to do his duty and to take on his responsibilities.
Absolutely. I mean, there was a lot of Wrights, but Albert's the only one that is an automaton. And I think this is because he's the one that's like taken on the mantle so much of the legacy of the Wrights. That he has stood for what the Wrights believe in.
Yeah, we'll find out all the different Wrights who are automatons, but he is the only one left in Cinderbury, and yeah, he's
the only one left in Cinderbury, and we might find out more about the other Wrights, if they're like who's around, who's dead, all these kinds of things. There's so much to the Wright family, the Wright legacy, everything that goes behind that, and we'll go into that further as the story goes on. But here we can see that there is a lot of ways to use this against Albert and use the right name because it's supposed to mean something.
Yeah,
and that's why Amelia is hesitant to take on the orphanage, because of this legacy.
Yeah.
She is worried that she won't live up to the name.
They have, Albert is not the only one to have built up the Wrights as something that are monumental and have this huge burden on your back of carrying that name. I mean, we see how Silas has referred to the Wrights as building the neighborhood of Copper Hollow, and we know that they have so much knowledge when it comes to automatons, and we'll get deeper into that as the story goes on.
But yeah, I really liked this chapter. I think it's a fun one. We can see that Amelia really breaks Larkin's heart in this one. And then we get to see all the different characters coming in of the orphanage. We see Irene, we see Lily trying to settle in, we see Little John come in like a powerhouse. So difficult. And then we see Albert trying to manage what the next steps for the whole orphanage, and Amelia just feeling the burden of it all and trying to know whether she can. Like, she doesn't feel like she can even deal with it. So there's a lot that's to come. There's so much more, but we're just getting the intricacies of the relationship starting to come in here.
Yeah, 100%. And I think she's been prepared a long time. She's almost been over-prepared for this, because when she comes to it, she's built it up so much in her head, and others have built it up around her that she doesn't feel like she can take it on. But she's a right, through and through. She's so talented. She's so capable. But in her mind, she's standing on the shoulders of giants, and she does not see how she can ever be like them.
And we'll see how she deals with the bits of the orphanage that she has to deal with.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much for listening. This was a fun chapter. I like this chapter.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think. Give us any feedback. What do you think of Little John? He's such a weird little character. Maybe my accent and voice is grating, but that's kind of the point.
I don't think so. No, yeah, it was such a dynamic chapter, so we're really looking forward to the feedback on this one.
Absolutely. And we'll catch you next time. See ya.
Catch you later. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. This episode was written, produced and performed by R. Finn and P. Rose. No AI-generated content was used in the making of this podcast. Thank you to Alex Grohl, who created the music within this episode. If you would like to support the Cindery Chronicles and our writing, please consider sharing this episode or purchasing a copy of Copper Hollow available on Amazon or Kindle. You can also find exclusive content on the Cindery Chronicles Substack. If Copper Hollow is not available in your region, please contact us at copperhollowbook@gmail.com. Your time, engagement and feedback means a lot to us. Thank you for listening.